So now I just want to go over a few tips and tricks to kind of export your model in JPEG, raster format, or vector DWG format, and how to create sections as well. So you can see here, first things first, adding shadows to your project really makes it pop out in 3 dimensions and really communicates the spaces a lot more better. So if you go onto the shadow component here, click on this item, you can see I can turn on the shadows, and I can use different times of day, different months to experiment with those shadows as well. This is very useful for shadow analysis, so if you can take multiple snapshots to kind of look at your project and how it fits in its context and shadows, etc. You can also adjust the light and dark hues over here. Just for the sake of the drawing for now, what I want to do is go on the styles and just go on the default styles and click on hidden lines, and this gives me a nice neat drawing over here. The materials are still applied, it's just that this way of styling in particular removes the materials from display, but you can see if I still click go back, the materials are still there. So first of all, I want to kind of go over orthogonal kind of projections. So it'll be very difficult for you to align this project 100% in the horizontal direction if you want to, for example, get some facades out, etc. So what you have to do is go on the camera, and then you have these options here. So you have the parallel projection, so where all the lines are parallel to each other. So this is isometric, like this. And you can see there's no perspective, so if I go into this angle, I can't see any of the side walls, but everything that's just projected in front of me. I can change it to perspective, and this adds a bit more kind of angle into it, and you can see everything is in a kind of an angle, right? So here, go 2-point perspective, and this just emphasizes even more the different view angles that I can take. So I can zoom in here, and this is really good for doing renders and exporting these kind of internal spaces. I also have the standard views, so if I have the top plan over here, so at the moment we have a top 2-point perspective, I can go back here, change it to parallel, and this is useful if I want to export a site model, for example. You can see that the lines here it's as if it was drawn in CAD and added just shadows. So just having this model in this way and exporting it, so file, export 2D graphic, I can click on the DWG format and export it, and I will have a perfectly scaled site plan of my model here. So again, these models are not just useful for rendering, but they're also useful for drawing, kind of helping you produce your drawings for your project. So I'll go back, standard views. I also have the bottom, so this is from underneath, front, back, left, right, and isometric. So if I go back to top and then go back into isometric again, you can see that I have a isometric view, and that's basically at a 30-degree angle here from a horizontal line if I draw it here. So 30 degrees on the right and 30 degrees on the left. This is not to be confused with an ISO. ISO is a slightly different drawing, but this is an ISO. Again, these different projections that you can use. Another useful thing to draw your sections is using the section plane command. So if you go on tools, these are additional tools that you can we've mostly used in the tutorial, but you can also add text, section planes, and play around with the sandbox if you want. So the section plane, I just have to select a plane in which to produce it, and as you can see, I'll just give it a name, section 1, okay, and as you can see, it creates a section drawing of my model. So I can click on the section, I can move it around dynamically like this and produce different sections as I wish. So let's say I want this section over here. I can go on view and hide the section plane if I want, so I can work in a much more cleaner environment. I have something a bit strange going on here, which shouldn't happen. This should be all hatched as one, but sometimes we get these small glitches that we need to fix in our post-production. So if I go here on view, on camera, sorry, parallel projection, camera again, front, you can see I have a perfect section where all the lines are drawn in parallel. All I'll have to do is go File, Export, 2D Graphic, and choose the PNG, which is the raster format, where I can Photoshop over it, or DWG, which will give me crisp lines for me to use in diagrams, or I can use for kind of 3D sections. So to make the section 3D, go back here and just click on 2-point perspective. And now I have a 2-point 3D section. I can rotate if I need, and also export this in PNG or DWG. Just want to show you some quick examples. So this is one of the examples I exported a minute ago. It's a 3-dimensional drawing, and with these lines I can style them however I want to kind of overlay with my render. So remember, you can use the scenes over here. So if I go on scenes, and if I'm happy with one angle, let's say this is the angle I'm happy with, I can save the scene, and then I can go looking for other interesting angles of my project. I also always can double click and go back, and for example, if I'm working on a render and I export a render but I forget to export line drawings which I need to overlay on top of my render, I can also save this and just go back to it and export those line drawings, and then I can perfectly align them on top of each other. So let's say I have this line drawing and I have a JPEG export of the same angle, I can overlay them in front of each other in Photoshop. Just to show you a few more examples. So these are some of the material we worked with. As you can see here, I've exported this PNG but using a different style, which you can also do. Again, another PNG, but this is very useful in terms of showing you the different shadows. Alright, thank you.